Hi, my name is Angela Silak. I graduated from Duke in 2009. I currently work as the manager of original movies at Nickelodeon, and I'm also the co-founder of Hollywood Resumes, a resume writing service for entry-level Hollywood job applicants. So, as the manager of original movies, I am primarily responsible for the development of TV movies for the channel of Nickelodeon. We're a really small department. We're only 4 people, and we oversee our movies from start to finish. So, for me, mostly what I'm doing is the development phase, so the earlier half of that process. So I'm taking a lot of meetings with writers and reading a lot of writing samples and hearing pitches and deciding what projects we should buy. And once we have projects in development, we evaluate them and we work with them from start to finish. We start with an outline and we give notes to writers, and they come back with different drafts of the scripts until they're in really good shape. And once we feel they're ready, we pitch them for a green light, and then we go and we make them in Vancouver. And then the production process takes place in Vancouver. It comes back here for post-production, and then until the movie's ready and ready for air. And the whole process takes, from a green light to air is usually about 9 months, but in general, the entire process is much faster than it would be in a traditional film studio. So in children's development, you have to think a lot more about what children are going to understand and what's appropriate for them. So you have to be very careful when you're developing content that it's really on brand with the kids network that you're working for, but also that it's going to be accessible and relatable to kids. And it's a little bit, some people understand what that means a lot better than others, and you have to work with writers who have a specific kid sensibility, that know how to create jokes and stories that are going to be a little bit simpler than adult stories, but are still going to be really interesting and compelling at the same time. When I was at Duke, I studied policy journalism and media studies, and I did an internship during the summer after my junior year, and just discovered that I was really interested in television and film development. And I decided after that to move to LA and went to grad school to do internships so I could make some contacts and actually get into this industry. I went to the Annenberg School at USC, and I got a master's degree in communication management. And the great thing about it was nighttime classes, so I was able to do internships during the day. So I did 3 different internships during that time, and really, most importantly, met a lot of people because I didn't know anyone in LA before. So that was really how I got my foot in the door. When I finished grad school, I took a job at TheWrap.com as the assistant to the CEO. That was just kind of a first desk to learn the ropes of being an assistant. And then I moved to a reality TV production company, and I worked in development there for a year. But I ultimately decided that's not what I wanted to be doing. So I just started to make more contacts in the kids space, and until I finally found a job opening at Nickelodeon that I was able to take, and I started as an assistant here, and I've been able to move up. So when I first moved out here, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of applying for jobs. I didn't know how to write a resume or a cover letter, and it was kind of terrifying for me, and I'm sure my resume was really not good at all at that time. And over time, really at my first internship out here, I really learned how to write a resume, and I decided that it kind of came naturally. And for the next few years, I started doing resumes a lot for my friends and people just for favors who needed help. And it started becoming something I was doing for people I didn't know. I was getting referrals. And so I decided that it would be a good idea to just kind of start a business, since a lot of people need help with this, and a lot of people were already coming to me. And so I talked to one of my friends who also used to run an internship program, and she's done a bunch of resumes before too. And we decided to collaborate and go into business together and launch a resume writing service for, really targeted at people who are looking for internships and entry-level positions in Hollywood. So I'm sure you've heard a million times that the entertainment industry is really, really competitive, and that's definitely true. There are a lot of jobs, but there are a lot of more applicants than there are for jobs. And so anytime a job gets posted, the hiring manager usually gets hundreds of resumes in, and it's about standing out from the crowd. And so, they'll flip through these resumes really fast, just a quick glance. And so any excuse to get that resume out of the pile and into the trash will be taken advantage of. So you've got to have the things that they're looking for, and an easy to read format that's really concise and really clean, to really just help yourself stand out, and also to look professional. Because you'll see a lot of these really colorful resumes or things just that aren't visually appealing, and those just don't tend to stand out. When you're crafting your resume, the most important thing is to look at the job posting and make sure your resume matches the job posting. So if I got a resume for someone that I was hiring and I didn't know them and I never heard of them before, but their experience aligned perfectly to what I was looking for, I'd probably call them in. If I was trying to hire a development assistant and I'd seen that they'd done 3 development internships and they had really strong bullet points and they didn't have a bunch of typos and seemed like a smart person, I'd probably call them in. So a resume can help you get past that I don't know anyone phase. At the same time, a lot of jobs are filled by word of mouth. So if you're only relying on online job postings, you're going to have a little bit harder time finding those openings. For me, when I hire internally, I usually don't post on job boards. I usually just tell my friends and I say, hey, I'm looking for something. I'm only taking recommendations from friends. And so those are usually where I get the resumes. So that's why it's so important to network. My first internship out here was at it was at a development company, but that had a really strong internship program. And so there were, 10 to 15 interns at a time working together. And it was a training program. So we had to learn all the Hollywood terminology and vocabulary. We had to learn who the players were in the industry. We had to learn how to do script coverage. We had to learn how to write treatments and pitches and things like that. So we learned all the basics of the industry, and also how to cover a desk, which is really important for an assistant position. But while we're doing that, we made friends. So those people immediately became some of my best friends, and they still are. And through every internship and job, you make tons of friends, and it's really easy. But at the same time, once you become an assistant, you're working with a lot of people externally too. And so the more chances that you can take to get drinks with someone, if you're just scheduling a meeting with them, for your bosses, you can also go meet that person, and they're going to be a contact for you from later on, and you just have to keep in touch with them. A lot of people are very quick to tell you that it's too hard, don't try, don't bother. So it's so competitive, and everyone else is trying to do this. But at the end of the day, if you ultimately decide that you really want this and you have the confidence to do it, just don't let anyone tell you no, and you'll eventually get where you want to be.